Dracula by Bram Stoker, Chapter 27, Mina Harker's Journal, 1st of November. All day long we travelled, and at good speed. The horses seem to know that they are being kindly treated, for they are willingly going at full stage at best speed. We now have had so many changes, and find the same thing so constantly that we are encouraged to think that the journey will be an easy one. Dr. Van Helsing is laconic. He tells the farmers that he is hurrying to Bidstritz, and pays them well to make exchange of horses. We get hot soup, or coffee, or tea, and off we go. It's a lovely country, full of beauties of all imaginable kinds. The people are brave, and strong, and simple, and seem full of nice qualities. They are very, very superstitious. In the first house we were stopped, when the woman who served us saw the scar on my forehead, she crossed herself and put 2 fingers towards me, to keep off the evil eye. I believe they went to the trouble of putting an extra amount of garlic into our food, and I can't abide garlic. Ever since then I have taken care not to take off my hat or veil, and so have escaped their superstitions. We are travelling fast, and as we have no driver with us to carry tales, we go ahead of scandal, but I dare say the fear of the evil eye will follow hard behind us all the way. The professor seems tireless. All day he would not take any rest, though he made me sleep for a long spell. At sunset time he hypnotized me. He says I have answered as usual, darkness, lapping water, and creaking wood. So our enemy is still on the river. I am afraid to think of Jonathan, but somehow I have now no fear for him or for myself. I write this whilst we wait in a farmhouse for the horses to be got ready. Dr. Van Helsing is sleeping, poor dear. He looks very tired and old and grey, but his mouth is set as firmly as a conqueror's. Even in his sleep he is instinct with resolution. We have well started. I must make him rest whilst I drive. I shall tell him that we have days before us, and he must not break down when most of all his strength will be needed. All is ready. We are off shortly. 2nd of November, morning. I was successful, and we took turns driving all night. Now the day is on us, bright though cold. There is a strange heaviness in the air. I say heaviness for want of a better word. I mean that it oppresses us both. It is very cold, and only our warm furs keep us comfortable. At dawn Van Helsing hypnotized me. He says I answered darkness, creaking wood, and roaring water. So the river is changing as they ascend. I do hope that my darling will not run a chance of danger, more than need be, but we are in God's hands. 2nd of November, night. All day long driving. The country gets wilder as we go, and the great spurs of the Carpathians, which at Veresti seemed so far from us and so low on the horizon, now seem to gather round us and tower in front. We both seem in good spirits. I think we make an effort to cheer each other. In the doing so we cheer ourselves. Dr. Van Helsing says that by morning we shall reach the Borgo Pass. The houses are very few here now. The professor says that the last horses we got will have to go on with us, and we may not be able to change. He got 2 in addition to the 2 we changed, so now we have a rude 4 in hand. The dear horses are patient and good, and they give us no trouble. We are not worried with other travellers, and so even I can drive. We shall get past in the daylight. We do not want to arrive before, so we take it easy and have a good rest in turn. Oh, what will tomorrow bring us? We seek a place where my poor darling suffered so much. God grant us we may be guided aright, and that he will deign to watch over my husband and those dear to us both, and who are in such deadly peril. As for me, I am not worthy in his sight. Alas, I am unclean to his eyes, and I shall be, until he may deign to let me stand forth in his sight as one of those who have not incurred his wrath. Memorandum by Abraham Van Helsing. 4th of November. This is to my old and true friend John Seward, of Purfleet, London, in case I may not see him. It may explain. It is morning, and I write by a fire which is all night I have kept alive, Madame Mina aiding me. It is cold, so cold that the great heavy sky is full of snow, which when it falls will settle for all winter as the ground is hardening to receive it. It seems to have affected Madame Mina. She has been so heavy of head all day that she was not like herself. She sleeps and sleeps. She, who is usually so alert, have done literally nothing all day. She has even lost her appetite. She make no entry into her little diary, she who writes so faithful at every pause. Something whisper to me that all is not well. However, tonight she is more. Her long sleep all day have refreshed to restore her, for now she is all sweet and bright as ever. At sunset I try to hypnotize her, but alas, with no effect. The power has grown less and less with each day, and tonight it failed me altogether. Well, God's will be done, whatever it may be, and whithersoever it may lead. Now to the historical, for as Madame Mina writes not in her stenography, I must, in my cumbrous old fashion, that so each day we may not go unrecorded. We go to the Borgo Pass just after sunrise yesterday morning. When I saw the signs of dawn, I got ready for the hypnotism. We stopped our carriage, and got down so that there might be no disturbance. We made a couch with furs, and Madame Mina, lying down, yielded herself as usual, but more slow and more short time than ever, to the hypnotic sleep. And, as before, came the answer, darkness, and the swirling of water. Then she woke, bright and radiant, and we go on our way and soon reach the pass. At this time and place she become all on fire with zeal, some new guiding power be in her manifested, for she point to a road, and say, This is the way. How do you know it? I ask. Of course I know it, she said with a pause. Add, Have not my Jonathan travelled it, and wrote of his travel? At first I think somewhat strange, but soon I see that there be only one such by-road. It is used but little, and very different from the coach road from Bukovina to Bistritz, which is more wide, and hard, and more of use. So we came down this road, when we meet other ways, not always, were we sure that they were roads at all, for they be neglect, and light snow have fallen. The horses know, and they only. I give rein to them, and they go on so patient, and by we find all the things which Jonathan have note in that wonderful diary of his. Then we go on for long, long hours and hours. At the first, I tell Madame Mina to sleep. She try, and she succeed. She sleep all the time, till at the last I feel myself too suspicious grow, and attempt to wake her. But she sleep on. I may not wake her though I try. I do not wish to try too hard lest I harm her, for I know that she has suffered much, and sleeps at times to be all in all to her. I think I drowse myself, for all of a sudden I feel guilt, and though I have done something, I find myself bolt up and with the reins in hand, and the good horses go along jog as ever. I look down to find Madame Mina still asleep. It is not far now off sunset time, and over the snow of the light of the sun flow in big yellow flood, so that we throw great long shadow on where the mountain rise to steep. For we are going up and up, so wild and rocky as though it were the end of the world. Then I arouse Madame Mina. This time she wake with not much trouble. Then I try to put her to hypnotic sleep, but she sleep not, being as though I were not. Still I try, till at once I find her and myself in dark, so I look around, and find that the sun have gone down. Madame Mina laugh, and I turn and look at her. She is now quite awake, and I look so well as I never saw her since that night at Carfax, when we first entered the Count's house. I am amazed, and not at ease then, but she is so bright and tender, and thoughtful for me that I forget all fear. I light a fire, for we have brought a supply of wood with us, and she prepare food while I undo the horses, and set them tethered into a shelter to feed. Then, when I return to the fire, she have my supper ready. I go to help her, but she smile and tell me that she have eat already, that she was so hungry that she could not wait. I like it not, and I have great doubts, but I fear to affright her, so I am silent of it. She helped me, and I eat alone, and then we wrap in fur and lie beside the fire. I tell her to sleep while I watch, but presently I forget all of watching, and when I suddenly remember that I watch, I find her lying quiet but awake, and looking at me with so bright eyes. Once, twice, or more the same occur, and I get much sleep till before morning. When I wake I try to hypnotize her, but alas, though she shut her eyes obedient, she may not sleep. The sun rise up, and up, and up, and then sleep come to her too late, but so heavy that she will not wake. I have to lift her up and place her sleeping in the carriage, when I have harnessed the horses and made all ready. Madame Mina still sleeps, and she look in her sleep more healthy and redder than before. I like it not, and I am afraid. I'm afraid of all things, even to think, but I must go on my way. The stake we play for its life and death, or more than these, and we must not flinch. 5th of November, morning. Let me be accurate in everything, for though you and I have seen some strange things together, you may at the first think that I, Van Helsing, am mad, that the many horrors and the so long strain on nerves has at last turned my brain. All yesterday we travel, ever getting closer to the mountains, and moving into more and more wild and desert land. There are great frowning precipices, and much falling water, and nature seemed to have held some time her carnival. Madame Mina still sleeps. Though I have for hunger and appeased it, I could not wake her, even for food. I began to fear that the fatal spell on the place was upon her, tainted as she is with that vampire baptism. Well, I said to myself, if it be that she sleep all the day, it shall also be that I do not sleep at night. As we travel on, the rough road, for a road of ancient and imperfect kind there was, I held down my head and slept again. I waked with a sense of guilt of time past, and found Madame Mina still sleeping, and the sun low down. But all was indeed changed. The frowning mountains seemed farther away, and we were near the top of a steep rising hill, on summit of which was a castle such as Jonathan told of in his diary. At once I exulted and feared, for now, for good or ill, the end was near. I woke Madame Mina, and again tried to hypnotize her, but alas, unavailing till too late. Then, ere the great dark came upon us, for even after sundown the heavens reflected the gone sun of the snow, and all was for a time in a great twilight. I took out the horses and fed them what I could. Then I made a fire. Near it I made Madame Mina, now awake and more charming than ever, sit comfortable amid her rugs. I got ready food, but she would not eat, simply saying that she was not hungry. I did not press her, knowing her unveilingness. But I myself eat, for I must needs now be strong for all. Then with fear on me of what might be, I drew a ring so big for her comfort, round where Madame Mina sat, and over the ring I passed some of the wafer, broke it so fine that it was well guarded. She sat still all the time, so still as one dead. And she grew whiter than ever, whiter till the snow was not more pale, and no word she said, but when I drew near she clung to me, and I could know that the poor soul shook from head to feet with tremor that was pain to feel. I said to her presently, when she had grown more quiet, "Will you not come over to the fire?" for I wished to make a test of what she could. She rose obedient, but when she had made a step she stopped, and stood as one stricken. "Why not go on?" I asked. She shook her head, and coming back she sat down in her place. Then, looking at me with open eyes, as if one waked from sleep, she said simply, "I cannot," and remained silent. I rejoiced, for I knew that she could not. None of those that we dreaded could. Though there might be danger to her body, yet her soul was safe. Presently the horses began to scream, and tore at their tethers, till I came to them, and quieted them. When they did feel my hands on them, they whinnied low, as in joy, and licked at my hands, and were very quiet for a time. Many times through the night did I come to them, till it arrived to the cold hour when all nature is at its lowest. And every time my coming was quiet of them. In the cold hour the fire began to die, and I was about stepping forth to replenish it, for now the snow came in flying sweeps, with a chill mist. Even in the dark there was a light of some kind, as there ever is over snow, and it seemed as though the snow flurries and the wreaths of myths took shape of women in trailing garments. All was in dead, grim silence, only that the horses whinnied and cowered as in terror of the worst. I began to fear horrible fears. But then came to me the sense of safety in that ring wherein I stood. I began, too, to think that my imaginings were of the night, the gloom and the unrest as I have gone through all the terrible anxiety. It was as though memories of Jonathan's horrid experience were befooling me, for the snowflakes and the mist began to wheel and circle round, till I could get as though a shadowy glimpse of those women that I would have kissed